well as the weekend's draws to a close. That doesn't end there for me because we're going to be reviewing, of course, not only AEW All In, as you know, this is one of their biggest pay per view shows outside the US, in the UK, down with the legendary Wembley Stadium. A whole lot of craziness is going to take place, and a lot of cheering, a lot of things that's going to be unexpected. But first things first, as you know, AEW were in the UK. We're also going to be reviewing British promotion RevPro with their 11th anniversary show. It features most of their championships on the line. Even Will Ospreay is in the present since he'll be facing against his long-term rival Shingo Takagi. So that's going to be a lot of interesting to watch. And also we got some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. So this is where we do a lot of daily reviews on pro wrestling from various promotions. If you like this channel, please subscribe to us. We'll be doing a lot of reviews for all of you from various promotions, and of course some other things we're going to be putting up here from other cool stuff. And if you like this episode, please give us a like or give us a nice comment down below on the bottom. So let's get started with our very first review, and this is from the British promotion known as RevPro, or Revolution Pro Wrestling. This is their 11th anniversary show that took place on the 26th of August. Now, our opening match, we have Leon Slater versus Dan Maloney of the Bullet Club War Dogs. Now, recently I haven't been watching a lot of the RevPro shows, but however, from what the commentators are saying, it appears that there's been a lot of friction between both Leon Slater and Dan Maloney, which is no surprise. I mean, Dan Maloney, he's a freaking war dog from the Bullet Club. But one thing is for certain that, of course, this rivalry had to end in some capacity in this match, but it was, of course, Leon Slater with the Swanton 450 that put him away completely, giving him the win. Now, our next match is a title match. This is for the RevPro Undisputed British Cruiserweight Championship in a what? In a six-way scramble match. We have Wild Boar, who you remember him from NXT UK. Jordan Breaks, I don't know who he is. Newest member of the United Empire, from what I found out, Colin Newman, who this will be his last match before heading to the New Japan Dojo soon. We have Shaw Samuels, another familiar figure from NXT UK, who's mostly been in the UK. Robbie X, one of the most unbelievable cruiserweight wrestlers we've seen, and of course the champion himself, Connor Mills. Now, Connor Mills has been taking opportunities in order to win the match at all costs. However, his biggest rival right now is Shaw Samuels. Now, Shaw Samuels, in this particular storyline, it's been put that he lost a lot of weight due to the fact that he wants to be the 4th Triple Crown champion in RevPro. So basically, he thinks by doing that it's going to work. But however, Connor Mills will stop at nothing. But of course, Colin Newman said that he would like to win this match and take the belt with him to Japan. But however, that wasn't the case in the end. It was in fact Shaw Samuels who pulled off a moonsault onto Newman. But however, Connor Mills grabbed Shaw Samuels and tossed him out of the ring, pinned Newman to retain the titles, and he skedaddled out of there, stealing another victory that should have been Shawn Samuels. But I'm sure sooner or later there's those two will meet up somewhere. Now, our next match, we have a bit of like a Young Lions style match. We have JJ Gale taking on Kosef Fujita, who has been now going on excursion since graduating from the New Japan Dojo. Give me a minute, folks. Right. Okay, so where were we? Oh, yeah. So anyway, you probably thought this was going to be a very interesting match. And of course, I figured that Kosef Fujita would try to use all the knowledge that, of course, Zack Sabre Jr. taught him. And unfortunately, it did not go exactly according to plan. As much as he tried to hold on as possible, he ended up in the single leg Boston Crab, forcing him to tap. So basically, JJ Gale won this match, and of course, Kosef Fujita lives to fight another day. Now, our next match, well, the rivalry continues. Members of the Bullet Club War Dogs, consistently with the leader David Finlay and the so-called future ace Gabe Kidd, takes on El Phantasmo and the wrestler in our current ROH Pure Wrestling Champion Katsuyori Shibata. Now, keep in mind, there's a bit of friction with Finlay and Kidd towards Shibata. Now, Finlay has spoken saying how much Shibata has failed his students, more specifically Kidd, Connors, and of course Conglin, for his own selfish needs. He brainwashed them to believe that he did not do squat. But however, of course, Gabe Kidd will probably pretend that it's time for the student to be the teacher. But the obvious question, could he beat the master? Well, that's the thing that you need to understand. But I have to say, seeing LP with Katsuyori Shibata was great. Now, this match, I have to say, was one that I was waiting for, because everybody were questioning before this match was announced, and who was going to be LP's partner. He said this: I may be a former member of Bullet Club, but remember one thing. He says, I may not have friends, but Bullet Club does have a lot of enemies. So basically, Shibata is one of them. If you guys remember, Shibata was involved with this whole feud with Bullet Club thanks to the so-called Kenta for what he did. So that explains it. But in the end, it was, of course, LP who pinned Kidd to pick up a huge win. But in the process, he let Katsuyori Shibata take his moment, since he is a far more better wrestler than everybody knows. So I thought it was interesting to see LP, how he is embracing and letting Katsuyori Shibata embrace his moment. So I thought it was very cool. Now, a very interesting match, we have Ricky Knight Jr., you may know him as Saraya's nephew, take on Zack Sabre Jr. This is a very interesting. We have RKJ, and of course we have ZSJ. Kind of weird, with the acronyms. But nonetheless, it was pretty good. Now, the significance of this match was for Ricky Knight Shane in Ricky Knight Jr. in hopes to possibly go back into his winning ways for the undisputed British heavyweight title, a title that he did not lose. His uncle, of course, Zach, was representing him in the belt, and he lost it to Great O'Khan, and of course, Great O'Khan lost the belt to the one person who he did not expect, was Michael Oku. But if Ricky actually pays off to win this match, it would put him in consistency to get another crack at it. But however, Zack Sabre Jr., who's we known as one of the best technical wrestlers in the world, the master technician, he really pulled off a lot of submissions. But however, it was a chokehold that put away Ricky, and he passed out completely just like that. So Zack Sabre Jr., just like that, he wins. Now, our next match is it for the RevPro Undisputed British Tag Team Championship. We have all the way from Australia, the Velocities versus Subculture. Yeah, so Subculture are the champions for this one as well. I thought it was a pretty good and fun match, I mean, they have it interesting, but one thing wasn't crazy. This guy named London, he pulled off a shooting star DDT. I'm like, holy shit! That's right. Oh, you'd be surprised. I was like, damn, that's crazy. But however, it was of course Mark Andrews who picked up the win with the shooting star press himself, not with the DDT, but just a standard one on uh on Silva. I think that's his name. Yeah, on Silva. So basically, Subculture retained the titles, but however, the Greedy Souls, a tag team that Subculture had defeated for these titles, reappeared and now they're demanding their titles back. They attacked not only, of course, Subculture, but also the Velocities. But Dan Luna, who's always been at the corner of Subculture, decided to fight back, but however, it did not do any good. So sooner or later, Subculture may have to deal with the Gritty Souls one way or the other. Now our next match, this is a battle of Brits, Haas, however you want to call it. Luke Jacobs taking on the Stone Pitbull, Tomohiro Ishii. Now you know there's going to be a lot of intense match, not to mention fights and all that. It was unbelievably good. But in the end, it was Tomohiro Ishii with the vertical brainbuster that put Luke Jacobs away. I thought it was pretty great. I loved it. Now, next match is a three-way match for the RevPro Undisputed British Women's Championship. We have Hyan versus Hardcore Country. That's right, Mickie James, and of course the champion Alex Windsor. Now, from what commentators were explaining about this, we all know that Mickie James has, of course, paved the way for women's wrestling. However, the storyline where they're building up between Alex Windsor and Hyan, it appears that Alex Windsor betrayed Hyan's trust in order to win this belt, and now it's like she's trying to get that back. But however, I thought many people would have loved to see Mickie James win this match, but however, Alex Windsor was the one who picked up the win when she pinned Hyan with the inside cradle to retain the title. A huge disappointing for Hyan, but sooner or later she has to find a way to get that to beat her one way or the other. Now, our next match is the top title of RevPro, the RevPro Undisputed British Heavyweight title. Now, here's what's happened. I did not know. The challenger is none other than Trent Seven, and he brought a guy named Levi Mir, who I've seen him a few times. Trent Seven attacked Michael Oku, who is the current champion. The reason he attacked him is that he feels, sorry kid, you don't earn this title. I am the real heavyweight champion. So he decided to say that he is to solidify himself as the true RevPro Undisputed British Heavyweight Champion. But we all know that's not true. Basically, Michael Oku was there. But there was a moment where, here's what some moments did happen. The referee was knocked out, and of course, Trent Seven brought his protege Levi Mir to handle the spot. But however, Michael Oku's woman, Amari, tried to deal with it. Even she gave Levi Mir a kick in the groin. But of course, Trent Seven put her through a table. Basically, he put also Michael Oku in hopes that that could be it, like saying, sorry, I win. But it did not stop Michael Oku one way or the other. But of course, Amari was dealing with Levi Moore to keep him down until, of course, a single leg Boston Crab by Michael Oku to Trent Seven forced him to tap out, which is a huge victory, and he gets his title back. But however, when things seems like were going well for him after the match, it appears he received an unexpected visitor, but from the promotion Progress Wrestling, the current champion of that promotion, Spike Trivette, attacked them one way or the other. So Michael Oku will not let that stand. So he will, as the top champion of RevPro, he may have to deal with the top champion of Progress. Now our main event, we have Shingo Takagi versus Will Ospreay. Now this is the day before All In for Will Ospreay. He faces against his rival Shingo Takagi. Now if you guys remember history very well, both Shingo and Will Ospreay were part of the finals of the Best of the Super Juniors a couple years back. This is when Shingo was still at the border of being either a heavyweight or a junior. But of course, we all know what happened. Then Will Ospreay won. Shingo decided to move up weight class to become a heavyweight, which he did pretty well. And of course, that rivalry with Will Ospreay, of course, where Shingo was close in defeating Will Ospreay at the New Japan Cup, which allowed Will Ospreay the win, and then of course challenged Kota Ibushi, who was the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion at the time. So there was a lot of good moments, but however, in the end, it was of course the Stormbreaker to put away Shingo, and Will Ospreay gave out a promo. But all of a sudden, Zack Sabre Jr. comes out, telling him that he wants to challenge him for the IWGP UK Championship, or the United States Championship, how you call it. But however, of course, it's going to happen because he's the one guy that, of course, Will Ospreay hasn't beaten. Like, he is trying to solidify himself, knowing that he has beaten wrestlers that he couldn't beat, such as Okada and Kenny Omega. And Zack Sabre Jr. is amongst those wrestlers he could not beat. So we'll see how that rolls up. But however, as soon as that was over, a masked wrestler shows up, and then they applied a code breaker onto Will Ospreay, and it turned out to be Chris Jericho. And then he applied the Judas effect. Here comes Ozzy Open to deal with him, but Jericho just left. So we all know what's going to happen in All In, so we're going to get to that right now. So let's move on with AEW All In. Okay, what we've all been waiting for, AEW All In at Wembley Stadium in the UK. This is the biggest show ever. Now, if you guys want to know, we do know the attendance number since, I watched it afterwards. The attendance for All In, and this is surprisingly, and I know there's going to be a lot of WWE loyalists who are a bunch of AEW haters. The attendance is 81,035. That's like the biggest number. Now we will talk about that at some other point about the attendance. I'm thinking about maybe doing a discussion about that, but we'll get to that. So normally we don't do the pre-show, but let's do it anyway. As you know, there was a contract signing between two of the most biggest individuals. We're talking about Miro and Powerhouse Hobbs. Now, if you guys remember, since Hobbs came back, he called out Miro, but all of a sudden QTV attacked him for no apparent reason. And of course, we don't know for sure if Hobbs and QT are still working together, even though that's the sort of thing. But of course, Hobbs knew that Mero knew that Hobbs was going to attack him once the contract was signed, and then it turned into a slugfest. But he did say that the Redeemer will do this and that, you know what I mean? So we'll see how that turns out. Now, as you know, Tony Schiavone, who we know him as the voice of WCW, decided to greet the fellow British fans to AEW. But of course, the dickwads showed up. If you guys don't know who I'm referring to, I'm talking about Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, Satnam Singh, Sanjay Dutt, and Karen Jarrett. These guys who opened their mouths in this, and then of course, they're saying America is the true reason that the British wrestling learned it from them. So they're trying to act like they're all high and mighty. But their high and mighty come to an end with the arrival of Paul White, British natives, Anthony Ogogo, and Grotto. So of course, everybody was taken out, but Jeff Jarrett got whacked in the guitar by Grado. According to what they're saying, it was Grado who got attacked by Jarrett many years ago. So now, like the old saying goes, payback's a bitch. So we'll see what turns out. Now, our first match for the pre-show we have is the ROH World Tag Team titles. We have Aussie Open, the champions, taking on the challengers, MJF and Adam Cole. I don't know how this was going to turn out, but one thing that struck my mind watching this, the kangaroo kick. You heard me, the kangaroo kick. I'm like, when I heard about this, I'm like, what the fudge? For real? And then when I watched it, I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. So it was crazy that he did that. But in the end, you probably would have thought there was no way that Cole and MJF were going to win this one because they're a makeshift team. But, we have seen type like this before, but I think we're seeing the brotherhood bond between both MJF and Adam Cole progress. But in the end, of course, the double clothesline was the deciding X factor on Kyle Fletcher. But it was, of course, Cole who picked up the Adam Cole who pinned him and brand new ROH World Tag Team Champions. But however, the night doesn't end with those two. They do have to meet up later on in the evening to take each other out to whoever's going to walk out of Wembley Stadium as the AEW World Champion. Now, while Renee Paquette and everybody else were doing a little stuff, apparently something transpired that we did not expect. Apparently, we saw the arrival of none other than Mercedes Moné. I think this was, I believe, to expect it. Now, I know some of you WWE loyalists are probably going like, no, don't go to AEW. They suck. Come back to WWE. I get it. But the fact is this. It's her decision, not yours. So, you need to respect her decision. If you guys can't do that, then you guys are no fans at all. That's how I see it. But I'm sure that her presence is making the AEW women's locker room a bit more nervous and also noticed her presence. But of course, the obvious question we're probably going to ask, will we see her? Well, we don't know. I mean, my brother did had a thought about this a while back. If you guys remember, Mercedes Moné did not win the New Japan Strong Women's title due to the injury. But if she didn't get injured, was there a possibility that my brother and I and several of my friends would have seen her here in San Diego when AEW were in town? That's a good question. We don't know. But only the wrestling universe knows that. Now, our next match we have is the FTW Championship. We have Hook versus Jack Perry. This match is going to be crazy. There was going to be a lot of mayhem, but Taz had to be their commentary because he knows that Hook is the only one who has the ability to bring that belt back home where it belongs. As you know, Jack Perry was intending to bury it, but it was, of course, Hook with the red rum that put Jack Perry away and reclaimed the FTW Championship. And I'm sure Taz, as a proud father, is happy for his son to win the belt back, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of celebration taking place. But nonetheless, Hook got the belt back. Now, our opening match of the main card is the Real World Championship between Samoa Joe and, of course, CM Punk. A rivalry that dates back 2 decades. As you know, Samoa Joe has always been the one who's been up over CM Punk for many years. But recently, during the Owen Hart tournament, it was CM Punk who defeated him. And I'm sure Joe will not tolerate the fact that he lost. But he was demanding that this match take place, which it did. This match turned out to be a much brutal match you couldn't possibly imagine. But I think many of us would have expected that Samoa Joe would have won this match by either chokehold or the muscle buster. That would have been the two options. The obvious thing is, would we expected Punk to apply the GTS? That's a good question. But he was able to apply a high velocity Pepsi clutch and put away Samoa Joe. So that means right now in this moment, Samoa Joe has lost 2 consecutive matches against CM Punk. But the obvious storytelling tells us, is this over or we will continue with more? That's a good question. So we have seen wrestlers that refuse to let it go. So anything's a possibility. Now moving on, we have a trios action match. We have the members of Bullet Club Gold, Juice Robinson and Jay White, teaming up with Konosuke Takeshita to take on Hangman Adam Page, Kota Ibushi, and Kenny Omega. Now this rivalry between Omega and Konosuke Takeshita has begun ever since Takeshita decided to embrace Don Callis, who Don Callis felt that Kenny Omega as a liar, that he deceived them, that he did not listen to him. Kenny Omega's always felt that, Don Callis tried to take control of him, of what he does, and all this. It's no secret. Like, that's always been the case. Like, he did not want him to have friends. But, however, you probably thought there was going to be some great moments. I thought Kota Ibushi was almost this close doing the Kamigoya on Takeshita, but Takeshita did the jumping knee strike on him. But in the end of this match, it was, of course, a roll-up by Omega, by Takeshita onto Omega to pick up the win. So this is a heartfelt loss by Kenny. But now Don Callis is now going to focus on the all-out match next week, where, of course, he says that Konosuke Takeshita will drive Kenny out of AEW forever. Don Callis is determined to kick him out for good. But Kenny's not going to go down without a fight. He may have lost this one, but there's no way he's going to let this one slide. Now, our next match is the rubber match between two of the best tag teams in the world, the Young Bucks and FTR. Now, their rivalry dates back when the whole thing with the Revival, if you guys ever seen the Being the Elite episode on YouTube, you know what that means. But man, this match was insane. Now, according to what people were saying on the on Twitter, everybody were getting worn out from the first few matches. But however, near the end, that's when things got a little crazy. They spiced it up, got the fans riled up, and once again, deja vu happened. What was Cash Wheeler thinking? Once again, he did the springboard 450. He missed, and just like that, I don't know. This is what led to the first time they lost, but it didn't do any good for the Bucks, regardless. But in the end, they tried to shatter the machine onto who did they got it onto? Onto Nick, and it was, of course, Wheeler with the pinfall. 1, 2, 3. They retained the titles and all this, so that means they're already possibly one up against the Bucks. So, will this rivalry continue? Well, we'll see what happens this coming Wednesday. Now, our next match, we have a four-way match for the AEW Women's World Title. We have Saraya, who is the hometown country girl, who's British-born. We have Toni Storm, a member of the Outcast with Saraya. And, of course, we have Britt Baker, and, of course, the champion, Hikaru Shida. Now, Shida, I know, did not have the cheering when she needed when she was the AEW Women's World Champion, but it felt good for her to have the cheering that she needed, because I think that was a big drawback for her back then. But it was great that she got to have that experience for this one. But however, the one thing that became interesting, we all knew from day one that the teamwork between Saraya and Toni Storm was going to be a factor. But that factor went out the window when Toni Storm grabbed Britt Baker, had Saraya's mom to hold onto her, but of course, while she was about to chop her, Britt Baker ducked, and Toni Storm hit Saraya's mom. And you know the answer to that, what the fans would say. You fucked up. Yeah. Toni Storm did. She tried to reason with her, but the old saying, "Don't mess with my mama." That's always been a story, a thing we have always known. I mean, personally, one time I got mad because some jerkweed was trying to put my mom at blame for a car accident. But we already knew that he was responsible for that, so he wanted to make the blame, and I was like acting like an angry Italian. So I understand that whole thing. So basically, that did not work. So one thing that was led to another. When we thought Britt Baker would have become two-time AEW Women's Champion, she and Shida were going back and forth with the lockjaw. However, it was Saraya who applied a DDT onto Toni Storm and become the AEW World Women's Champion. And of course, this is a proud moment for her because she did this in her home country, and it's been nearly 8 years she wrestled. Now, I know many people would say she should have retired when she had her neck injury, but we all know the history with going on with WWE, so this is a monumental moment for her to do that. So that is a great, not to mention her family was there, her parents, her brothers, her nephews. It's great to see them there too. Now, our next match is a coffin match. We have Swerve Strickland along with Christian Cage taking on Darby Allin and Sting. So this was going to be a pretty decimating match. Now Swerve, who has his issues towards Darby Allin, has always been a problem. But however, one thing that was insane is that everything was going, like, bringing out the coffin, bringing the toys. Not to mention, Darby Allin had one of those tax jackets that was right there. I'm like, holy cow. Yep. I did not expect that coming from him one way or the other. But, of course, Luchasaurus was going to show up and give Christian Cage the helping hand. But Nick Wayne, who decided to grow a pair of balls, decided to stand up against Luchasaurus. I'm sure Christian Cage is not happy with the fact that Nick Wayne did not take his warning. But the fact is this: Christian Cage said some despicable remarks about his dad that, of course, no one heard of them and all that. Of course, you never wrestled the Independents. You don't even know what that is like. But I'm sure. But the obvious thing is, Luchasaurus took Nick Wayne to the back. But in the end, it was, of course, Swerve Strickland who had to go at it alone. He ended up in a coffin. So basically, that was the end of it. Wow, that was a pretty good match. Now our next match, this is the Battle of the Goats. We have Chris Jericho, who we have seen for many years with an amazing reputation, taking on Will Ospreay. Now, as you know, Will Ospreay has been known now to be the one who defeated Okada and Omega in a matter of 2 months, and now he wants to make Chris Jericho in that moment. So this is going to be a difficult thing. So one thing was crazy is how Chris Jericho was able to dodge Stormbreaker when he did a Poison Rana on him. That was insane. You probably thought that was amazing, but however, Will Ospreay, who refuses to stay down to prove his greatness, was the one factor that kept him going. But of course, in the end, once again, it took only 3 Stormbreakers to put away Jericho, and that was it right there. Now, our next match is for the AEW World Trios titles. Now, as you know, the Acclaim has targeted these belts before because they made a promise to Billy that they want to give him one last run as a champion before he officially retires or so. But however, when he did retire, somehow the House of Black took advantage of the boots, destroyed them, and that kind of pissed off Billy Gunn in every possible way. But the kind of match the Acclaim chose for this, no holds barred, so that means anything goes. But the best moment is this: Julia Hart got scissored by Anthony Bowens when she got in the way, and there's a video clip where, of course, Julia Hart's mom was laughing. And I'm like, oh crap, she's not gonna like that. But it was a great moment, and there were many things that took place that I think it was pretty good. Of course, Malachi Black actually did some misfired. Then Billy Gunn did the end that kicked out at the end. That kick that Malachi Black does. No one has ever kicked out before, but he was the first to do it. And then, of course, we had the mic drop onto who was it? They got the mic drop on Brody King, and become brand new AEW World Trios champion. I thought that was a great match, and of course, the House of Black handed the belts, and of course, Wembley Stadium did the biggest scissor party ever. I have to say, it was like you can tell this is a happy ending for the Acclaim. Not only because they won, because they fulfilled a wish they want for Billy, and they did. It probably would make you want to cry, if you know what I mean. But yes. Now, the main event that we've been expecting: Adam Cole versus MJF. This was a real fun, interesting match, but incredible. Some great moments. The referee was knocked out again. I mean, why is the referees getting knocked down every? But these two guys were trying to pull an Eddie on each other. Of course, first they were doing the chair with the hot potato. That was funny, and then of course, MJ was about to whack Adam Cole, and he threw himself in the ground, and then, what the hell? He put the chair on, throws himself. Like, what the hell? You probably wouldn't expect it. And then, but the one thing that was insane is the match had to continue when it ended in a draw, but of course they were not going to let that happen. But the one thing that was surprising is Roderick Strong coming out, helping Adam Cole. And of course, Adam was not happy seeing him. So this is becoming like clearer. Adam Cole really put his faith on MJF. There were moments like when they had their backs turned, like, "Are you gonna stab me?" It did not work this time. So basically, they became friends. But in the end, it was MJF with the inside cradle that picked up the win. I was like, wow, that was impressive. So yeah. But I have to say, Wembley Stadium was a great show. I'm glad that the if I have any British subscribers, if you guys actually did attend the show or you watch it, you guys are the most luckiest guys to ever seen a big show like that. So, but for us fans here in the States, we have to say it was a pretty awesome show to ever watch. So that's my opinion. I'm sure some of you guys have your own state opinions on this. But yes. So I think that's pretty much it right now. Let's move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, for all you Tokyo Yoshi Pro fans, if you guys have been aware of this or not, this was announced that the Up Up Girls, the pro wrestling unit, are they're gonna perform a solo live concert in the Yokohama Arena in December. Now, if you guys aren't familiarized with the Up Up Girls, there's two different. There's part of a company called Up Up Girls, an idol group, but there is an idol group within Tokyo Show Pro Wrestling using that name since DDT does have a strong relationship with the Up Up Girls brand. They decided to build their own idol group using the name Up Up Girls, but only strictly for wrestling purposes. But now that the Up Up Girls has expanding their membership, if you guys follow their history, it started out with 4. The current members is Hikari Noa, Raku, and of course Miyu Watanabe. Now the 4th one was Pinano, but Pinano retired a couple years back. So they've been mostly a trios for the last couple years. But last year they announced on March of 2022, they announced they want to expand the membership of the Up Up Girls Pro Wrestling unit. And of course the first person that actually joined was Shino Suzuki. And now they add another member, and I forgot her name completely. So we're going to see a concert coming from them. And that's going to be interesting. I don't know if I'll be able to see it, but hopefully there'll be some good clips to watch. Now, as you know, the NXT are doing the NXT Global Heritage Invitational. They already announced a couple of names that be involved. However, they already announced for the final 2 participants. Representing the Group A, we have Axiom. Representing Group B, Akari Tozawa. So they're the last participants. Now, Fightful Selects reported that Claudio Castagnoli said that he will like to wrestle in the G1 Climax before he retires. I'm sure this is the reason he's doing this is because right now he thought that he could get rid of Eddie Kingston once and for all to ruin his dreams for doing this. I think that's the thing. Now, will he be able to go to the G1? I'm not sure. I mean, G1's already done, but it all depends on if it's possible. I mean, I don't know exactly what Eddie Kingston did in order to get in or why they picked him, but it is what it is. But we'll see what happens. Some of you may question, if you guys remember, our favorite pirate princess KAIRI has made the announced that she'll be returning to WWE. Of course, this was basically the reasons why. The reason she made the decision to return was due to the success of Io Shirai, now goes by Io Sky, and of course Triple H at the helm at the creative team. Now, those two are the 2 factors why. Of course, Io Shirai and KAIRI known each other for many years since, of course, their Stardom days. But Io has now been getting a lot of notoriety, getting well known and all this, because we often said that they dropped the ball with KAIRI not giving her the opportunity. So now it's going to happen. So right now she'll be finishing up her last few matches. 3 matches have been announced for her in September, and then she'll be taking a long leave of absence. But I did mention during the previous that I do believe that her return time will be at the Royal Rumble. That is something I strongly believe that could happen. I mean, they have been known to do that, so we'll see where it takes place. Now, as you all know, Yoshi wrestler Saki Akai announced a while back that by November she'll be retiring. But recently, her unit, Eruption, consistent with her, the leader Yukio Sakaguchi, I think that's his name, and Hideki Okatani, participated in All Japan Pro Wrestling for the AJPW World Trios Championship. However, Eruption picked up the win, and Saki Akai is the first ever woman to win an All Japan Pro Wrestling Championship. So this is a milestone right now. Now, recently we have been seeing All Japan bringing in Yoshi wrestlers. Some of you may question, like saying, okay, New Japan are having Yoshi wrestlers in their shows now. Noah is doing that, but are they going to have a championships? Will All Japan do that? I don't know. I mean, it's a big step. I'm sure there's going to be talks about that. Now, Prestige Wrestling, as you know, announced that for the Respect Issue event taking place on September 24th, Tyler Breeze will be making his appearance. So, if you guys are going to be watching that, yes, there is. Now, the master of the Tornado DDT, if you guys were wondering, where is Fuego? Well, Fuego is going to be making his first ever debut at a Texas promotion in next month called Texas Wrestling Cartel, and he'll be facing a guy named Slim 7. So he's doing well, but he did say that anything's a possibility where he could end up. Only we gotta wait and see when that takes place. So we're excited for him. Now, during a media scrum at the All In, of course, this is the next 3 topics on this one. It's about that. MJF said that he would like to go to Mexico to do a AEW show at the Azteca Stadium, and I mean that's not far off. I mean, it is a possibility it could happen. I mean, he did say he loves the culture and all that. He loves the food, and not to mention, Tony Khan did say that it's not beyond their reach. I mean, they do have relationships. I mean, with AAA and all that. I mean, anything's a possibility that could happen. So it only takes time until if that will happen. Now, during the media scrum as well, Tony Khan announced that there will be a show called Wrestle Dream, which will pay honor to the founder of New Japan Pro Wrestling, Antonio Inoki. So that's something we have heard. They'll be using New Japan talent, so that's something that's fun. Now, also in the media scrum, our brand new crowned AEW Women's Champion Saraya announced that she will be writing a book. Of course, it's not surprising that wrestlers have been known to do that. I still haven't bought the Moxley book yet. I mean, I read the Young Bucks book, but I want to see the Moxley book. But she did say that the final chapter will be about All In. So that's going to be interesting to talk about. So we don't know when it's going to be. Now, here's an interesting final update that this one I had to put in. As you know, New Japan has finished with their G1 Climax show. But Pro Wrestling Noah is doing the N1 Victory tournament. Kenoh said that he would like to bring Tetsuya Naito for next year's N1 Victory. That would be interesting to see. I'm sure Naito will have no problem at all. I mean, he has wrestled in Noah before when he faced against Keiji Muto in his final match, but that's pretty much it from there. But we'll just gotta wait and see what happens. As you know, Naito is the winner of this year's G1, so we'll see what happens until then. So we'll wait what Naito would say, or if it's any possibility next year. So I think that's pretty much it for our news update. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. I have to say this is the longest one I ever did. Now, I was planning on AEW All In, but I didn't know what to do with for if I want to do another one before that. I decided, you know what, let's do RevPro. It's been a while since I haven't did that. So I'm glad that I did RevPro and All In. Hope everybody had a great time watching All In. Can't wait to see what All Out's going to be like next week. So coming up for our episode, I'm just going to wing it. You know, there's still some wrestling shows I haven't have to catch up, including the Japanese scene. I'm still behind on the GCW. I'm still debating if I just skip it, you know, for the hell of it. So we'll see about that. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.